Hi, welcome to today's episode of Cold Hearted Complaints Off Topic. Today, we're going to be talking about the season finale and a little bit of a retrospective on the series Adventure Time. Adventure Time is a show that started on Cartoon Network back in 2010, created by Pendleton Ward. It follows the story of Finn the human and his adopted brother Jake the dog. Together they go on crazy adventures throughout the land of Ooh, which is a post-apocalyptic version of Earth, where there are candy kingdoms, slime princesses, hot dogs, lumpy space people, earls made of lemons, creepy ice kings, fire lands and princesses, vampires who just like to chill out and play bass guitar, and a whole bunch of crazy wild adventures that is just too many to go into in detail. Adventure Time is one of the most successful Cartoon Network shows ever. It is without a doubt a cultural touchstone, something we can look back to clearly demark the change in animation, especially children's animation. A lot of people call this the cartoon renaissance, and it's really easy to track to Adventure Time when it began and its success. Now, there are other people who would point to different shows like Phineas and Ferb or The Misadventures of Flapjack, and Flapjack has a pretty good case going for it, since it did have Pendleton Ward on its staff before he went off to make Adventure Time. I'm 25 right now, right? And when Adventure Time came out, I was still a junior in high school. So when it came out, I can tell you, it touched a lot of people my age, people older than me, and I know people younger than me. It struck a weird balance of being a kid's show, but also having a lot of mature themes and dark humor that was uncharacteristic for shows like that. It also features something that a lot of shows, especially when I was growing up, didn't, which is characters had arcs. They had baggage. They have complex storylines. They have moments of introspection, and the humor was unlike anything that was really around at the time and really brought together types of meme humor, which is a red flag for some people. Meme humor is typically denoted as low humor, but it was able to utilize it and take this kind of low random idea that you could see in other previous shows like Invader Zim and refine it and give it a sense of something more to it. Unlike a show like Invader Zim, something that would have a low random kind of humor sometimes, Adventure Time really did have a lot of characterization, strong characterization, from their main cast to a whole bunch of their side characters. Adventure Time is a show that had a cast that was wide-ranging but also incredibly deep. There was a lot of characters, but each character was given time and moments to be explored and to be developed and thought out. It's also a great template for world building. Building a world that in the first few seasons, you really don't get a whole bunch of details on what's going on in this world. You get little glimpses throughout of the intro sequences. When you first start out with the adventures in this show, it just seems like a mystical, fantastical world. Eventually, through story building and through world building, they develop that this world is the post-apocalypse of our world. There was a nuclear holocaust that wiped out current civilization, and what came from it thousands and thousands of years later was the crazy magical world you see in Adventure Time. But they don't just tell you that. It's not something that's doled out in long speeches. It's something that's given to you over seasons and seasons and episodes and hints. It's built up, right? It feels alive. It was a fascinating show that was able to balance building up this complex plot, this complex story, and world building, while also keeping things light and fun. And of course, I can't not mention that Adventure Time has some amazing music. The music is such a core part of Adventure Time. Songs throughout it, a lot of them written by Rebecca Sugar, who went on to create Steven Universe, which itself has a lot of great music to it as well. But a lot of the music in Adventure Time is heartfelt. It is sometimes sorrowful. It's emotional, but it's also fun and stupid and ridiculous and catchy. I still sing Jake's song, "I'm on a boat with a couple of wackos" every now and then. Because those songs get in your head. They mean something, even when they don't feel like it. It is absolutely one of the most influential and powerful shows of my lifetime. It's the finale just came out. I just watched it about an hour ago at the time of recording this, and it's difficult to see the show go. It has 10 seasons to its name, and I feel like it was right for it to end at this time. I feel like the show was in many ways not what it was at the beginning, and really, after 10 seasons, you can't ever really be what you were. But the series at its end was still creating compelling storylines, interesting character development, and deep changes to its characters that other shows still haven't matched. I'm not going to get into spoilery details here. I will say the finale was excellent. It was exactly what I wanted. It left a lot of questions unanswered, which I think is fine. I don't think a finale has to answer everything. But the main story of Adventure Time feels like it was concluded in a satisfactory way. Okay, to be honest, I can't resist. We're going to talk about some spoilers that happened in the finale. If you don't want to hear those spoilers, click to whatever number is on the screen right now. Just skip it, whatever. But getting into the spoilers of the finale, I really loved what they did with the whole war. I really love how Finn has grown to understand the trauma and the pain of violence and what it costs people. I also think it was great in challenging Bubblegum. Bubblegum is a character who is great and funny, but she has been shown to be authoritarian and ethically questionable as a leader. And I believe a lot of that was being challenged in this finale, and I like how they handled it, how Finn was able to convince her that the war she was propagating, that the way she treats her subjects is in some ways not right, and that she has a bit of a simplistic, sometimes unhealthy view of how she should treat her subjects. Those are mature themes, and it's crazy that a show like this is handling that, and again, I love Adventure Time for this aspect of it. I also really like that the main villain at the end was Glorb. Glorb is an interesting villain because he's a deity. He's an eldritch horror, kind of like a Cthulhu, or if you're gonna be a magic nerd like me, an Emrakul or an Kozilek. It was really satisfying to see Simon cured of his Ice King problems, to see him back in a normal state. I think that's really rewarding, and I think that storyline, that gives you a lot of space to imagine what he does next, or to think about where he goes from there, how he interacts with Marcy, how they kind of connect with lost time, how he tries to get back Betty, who Betty becomes Glorb, and that's feels like the correct way to go with that because Betty did unleash Glorb, so it's her sacrifice that should put him back. She has to pay for that. I also love that the way they resolve the conflict is music, and music is a core of what happens in Adventure Time. Music is one of the key aspects to Adventure Time. It's one of the ways they're able to communicate these difficult, complex, and emotional feelings in really short bursts by doing it through song. As Adventure Time is really short, episodes are typically about 10-11 minutes long, it's able to communicate very complex feelings and ideas in simple, short bursts. It's able to connect with you in ways that just telling a story can't. And I believe the climax of them singing that song together, that Rebecca Sugar came back to write, was beautiful. It's the perfect way to end a show like Adventure Time. And when the show ends with that ending theme song, Come Along With Me, it's just beautiful. You get to see all the characters from season 1 that's never mentioned again, and you just see them in the background or just off to a job. It's the perfect cap on what is a winding, long road of a show that was influential and beautiful. Also, hey, it's really awesome that Marceline and Bubblegum is canon, because that was very obvious, I think, for the past few seasons, especially when Marcy had to refight the vampires. I think this arc and them coming back together, I think that was very clearly was going to happen, and I'm very glad that they actually paid off that moment and didn't back down. They kissed, they showed it. That's awesome, and that's great, and I love Cartoon Network for allowing them to do that. Other networks don't do that. I think it's great that they were able to. Adventure Time directly led to shows like Steven Universe, OKKO, Craig of the Creek. It led to shows like The Amazing World of Gumball, Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Gravity Falls. Not everything can directly be attributed to Adventure Time. I realize that, and people will have some contentious comments maybe about that assertion, but I do think Adventure Time's success definitely spurred a lot of what is currently trending in children's animation, which I think is one of the greatest spaces it's ever been in. And I say this over and over again, it has grown and achieved things it never was doing back when I was a kid, and especially when people from older generations were kids. From the 80s to the 90s to the early 2000s, it was not doing what it was doing right now. So I believe this is an important trend that was kicked off by Adventure Time's success. and the people who came out of Adventure Time, and the people who are transcendentally related to the people who came out of Adventure Time. In my personal belief, in the 2000s, there are two children's shows that have changed the face of what children's TV is today. There was Adventure Time, and there was Avatar: The Last Airbender. Those two shows are groundbreaking, and they completely changed the landscape of what you have today. They should be celebrated and remembered as such because they are important, they are impactful, and the ending of Adventure Time was an emotional, fantastic, cinematic ending. It was everything I wanted it to be, and I believe that's all I can say right now. Thank you to everyone who worked on this. Pendleton Ward, Rebecca Sugar, anyone who worked on this show. You did a great job. You've changed so much, and progress has been made because of these shows, and it's going to affect the new generation that grows up with them, and I'm excited to see what further changes come from it. And that's really all I have to say. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Cold Hard Complaints Off Topic. Currently working on a Cold Hard Complaints right now. It's going to be on a video game, which is crazy. It should be good. Like this video if you like it. Comment on this video if you have something to say. Tell me how, if you loved Adventure Time, what moments stand out to you as your favorite? What do you think about Adventure Time and this new cartoon renaissance that it helped spawn? Or if you have any other suggestions or things you want to say about the video or future videos in general, what you want to see from this channel, go ahead and leave a comment. I don't care. Share this video if you like it. Please subscribe. It really helps me out because I am just chugging along with these videos. Thank you very much again for watching. You have a nice day, and stay radical.